Hi, my name is Griffin, and this is Exhibitor. Exhibitor is a retail business located in Raleigh, North Carolina. We sell fine American crafts, lighting, and fun items for the home. Parents opened Exhibitor 28 years ago, and I literally grew up in the store. So last year when they decided to retire, my wife and I took over. Over that year, we've learned a lot about what it takes to run a business, and while we've certainly enjoyed aspects of it, we've also decided it isn't quite the right fit for us. It's not to say we're not proud of what we've done here, though, and one of the things I'm actually most proud of is this Edison bulb display. There's three main reasons I like this Edison bulb display. First, it was really fast to make. Second, it was really inexpensive. And third, it's really effective at selling Edison bulbs in our wireless dimmers. And I'll show you why that is in a second. Now let's start with the fast. When we received these Edison bulbs, we wanted to get them out on display as quick as possible. Any time they were spent sitting in the back room was time we weren't generating revenue off of them. As a designer, it's easy to try to make something perfect and overthink it. In this case, decided that we wanted to go with good enough, get them out and see how they did. We originally planned on hanging them from the ceiling, but because of our peculiar situation here, installing new junction boxes is quite difficult and time consuming, and it would have taken about a week or two before we actually got them hung. That was a week or two we didn't want to spend. So instead we came up with the idea of repurposing this bookshelf to display them. It's actually worked out really well, happier with this than I would have been with the original plan of hanging them from the ceiling. Second was cheap. If we were to hang them from the ceiling, we would have had to have bought some expensive hardware to make that happen. We didn't want to invest too much in the bulbs without knowing how well they were going to do. Third is effective. That sort of speaks for itself, but we wanted to make sure we actually sold these Edison bulbs and made a return on our investment. Over time, we've discovered that this display has been really effective, and we've actually built on it, and I'll show you some of that to make it even more effective and to sell our wireless dimmers. So now I'm going to show you how this works. So we're going to start up here with the wiring. So just 1 second, and I'll climb up there. All right, I'm up on the top of a ladder now, so please excuse any jumpy camera movements. I wanted to show you how this is all wired together. This is the top of the bookshelf where the Edison bulbs are mounted. Wherever there's an Edison bulb, its wiring comes out, gets wired together with all the other Edison bulb cord sets, and all that wire ultimately leads into that blue box. Around the edges is this piece of MDF that I cut and painted black. Keeps you from being able to see all the wiring when you're down at ground level, and it originally served as a great place to mount some signage with information about bulbs. These days, this iPad takes care of all that, so we don't use it for that anymore. Inside that blue box is a dimmer. We dim the Edison bulbs primarily to reduce the amount of heat they put out. We've got a lot of lighting in the store. It all generates a lot of heat, and especially during the summer, it can tax the air conditioning system. So whether we can reduce heat, we do. It also prolongs the life of the Edison bulbs. If you dim a bulb by about 50%, it'll actually last more than twice as long. Since these are display bulbs that are on 10 hours a day every day, we wanted to try to make them last as long as possible. Now originally we had a traditional style dimmer mounted inside that blue box. Whenever a customer wanted to see the bulbs at a different brightness level, they'd have to come get us at the sales counter, and we'd come over and manually change it. A few weeks ago we switched it out with a new Lutron Cassetta dimmer. We're a Lutron dealer, and Cassetta is one of their new technologies. It's a wireless dimming system. We realized this display was actually a great place both to sell those dimmers and to allow customers to change the brightness level on their own. So they do that through that iPad down there, and I'm going to show you how that works next. We're back down on ground level, and I'm now a disembodied hand. Sorry about that, but I wanted you guys to be able to see the iPad and the Edison bulbs. So I mentioned earlier that we originally had signage mounted up at the top with information about the bulbs. About a month and a half ago, we migrated that down onto this digital display that runs on an iPad. This is something I wanted to try for a long time, using an iPad as a way to display information about the lights. And this seemed like a good opportunity to try it out, get some feedback, see how customers respond, and then decide whether it's something we wanted to expand through the rest of the store. So on the display is general information about the bulbs, pricing, dimensions, the same kind of stuff we had up on the paper display before. What makes the iPad display unique is that it's interactive. So it's probably a little too small to read here, but down on the bottom right it says dimming Edison bulbs helps prolong their life. Try different brightness levels. Customers have three choices: off, 50%, which is set to the default, and then 100%. So if a customer presses this button, 100%, after a few seconds the bulbs are going to slowly dim up to full brightness. Now the way that works, as I mentioned earlier, we had a wireless dimmer. I did some research and found out that there were some APIs, and I coded JavaScript controls here that talk to an intermediary service that talk to those APIs and tell the Edison bulbs to ramp up to full brightness. You'll also notice a second ago that the Edison bulbs returned back to 50% brightness. I set that up so that after about 10 seconds of inactivity, they revert back to the normal brightness, so the next time someone comes to display, it looks right. We've been really happy with the response we've gotten to the Edison bulb display. They've sold really well, get a lot of people looking at them, a lot of people asking questions, and recently a lot of people interacting with the iPad. One of the neat things is we're able to collect analytics, see how often the buttons are pressed, and it looks like about 30 to 40 people a day are actually interacting with the display, and we think that people that interact with it are more likely to actually buy the bulbs. So I hope you can understand why this is something I'm proud of. If you've got any questions about the display, the design process, anything I didn't go over, feel free to reach out. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks a lot.